Hello guys, Annala here, and today we're going to continue The Hobbit, or There and Back Again by J.R.R. Tolkien. At your service, said Bifer, Boffer, and Bomber, standing in a row. Then they hung up 2 yellow hoods, and a pale green one, and also a sky blue one, with long silver tassel that this last belonged to Thorin, an enormously important dwarf, in fact, no other than the great Thorin Oakenshield himself, who was not at all pleased at falling flat on Bilbo's mat with Bifer, Boffer, and Bomber on top of him. For one thing, Bomber was immensely fat and heavy. Thorin indeed was very haughty, and said nothing about service, but poor Mr. Baggins said he was so sorry so many times that at last he grunted, "Pray no mind to it," and stopped frowning. "Now we are all here," said Gandalf, laughing at the row of 13 hoods. Looking at the row of 13 hoods, the best detachable party hoods, and his own hat hanging on the pegs. Quite a merry gathering. "I hope there is something left for the latecomers to eat and drink. What's that, tea? No, thank you. A little red wine, I think, for me." "And for me," said Thorin. "And raspberry jam and apple tart," said Bifer. "And mince pies and cheese," said Boffer. "And pork pie and salad," said Bomber. "And more cakes and ale and coffee, if you don't mind," called the other dwarfs through the door. "Put on a few eggs, there's a good fellow," Gandalf called after him. And the Hobbit stumped off to the pantries. "And just bring out the cold chicken pickles." "Seems to know as much about the inside of my lotus as I do," thought Mr. Baggins, who was feeling positively flummoxed, and was beginning to wonder whether a most wretched adventure had not come right into his home. By the time he had got all the bottles and dishes and knives and forks and glasses and plates and spoons and things piled up on big trays, and was getting very hot and red in the face and annoyed. Confiscate and Bebother? I cannot pronounce that. "These dwarfs," he said aloud. "Why don't they come and lend a hand?" Lo and behold, there stood Balin and Dwalin at the door of the kitchen, and Fili and Kili behind him, and before he could say knife, they had whisked the trays and a couple of small tables into the parlour, and set everything afresh. Gandalf sat at the head of the party, with the 13 dwarfs all around, and Bilbo sat at a stool at the fireside, nibbling at a biscuit. His appetite had quite taken away, and trying to look as if this was all perfectly ordinary, and not in the least an adventure. The dwarfs ate, and talked, and time got on. At last they pushed their chairs back, and Bilbo made a move to collect the plates and glasses. "I suppose you'll all stay to supper," he said, politest unpressing tones. "Of course," said Thorin, "and after we shan't get through the business till late, and we must have some music first now to clear up." One sec. Ugh. There you go. Thereupon the 12 dwarfs, not Thorin, he was too important, and stayed talking to Gandalf, jumped to their feet, and made tall piles of things. Off they went, not waiting for trays, balancing columns of plates, each with a bottle on top, and with one hand, while the Hobbit ran after them, almost squeaking with fright, "Please be careful, and please don't trouble, I can manage." But the dwarfs only started to sing. "Chip the glasses and crack the plates, blunt the knives and bend the forks, that's what Bilbo Baggins hates. Smash the bottles and burn the corks, cut the cloth and tread on the fat. Pour the milk on the pantry floor, leave the bones on the bedroom mat. Splash the wine on every door, dump the crocks in a boiling bowl, pound them up with thumping pole. Oh, and you've finished, if any are whole, send them down the hall to roll. That's what Bilbo Baggins hates, so carefully, carefully with the plates. And, of course, they did none of these dreadful things, and everything was cleaned up and put away safely as quick as lightning, while the Hobbit was turning around and around in the middle of the kitchen, trying to see what they were doing. When they went back and found Thorin with his feet on the fender smoking a pipe, he was blowing the most enormous smoke rings, and wherever he told one to go, it went up the chimney, or behind the clock on the mantelpiece, or under the table, or around the room, or round and round the ceiling. But whenever it went, it was not quick enough to escape Gandalf. Pop! He sent a small smoke ring before his short clay pipe straight through the one of Thorin's. Then Gandalf's smoke ring would go green and come back to hover over the wizard's head. He had quite a cloud of them about him already, and in the dim light it made him look strange and sorcerous. Bilbo stood still and watched. He loved smoke rings, and then he blushed to think how proud he had been yesterday morning of the smoke rings he had sent up in the wind over the hill. "Now for some music," said Thorin. "Bring out the instruments." Keely and Feely rushed for their bags and brought back little fiddles. Dori, Nori, and Ori brought out flutes from somewhere inside their coats. Bomber produced a drum from the hall. Bifer and Boffer went out too, and came back with clarinets that they had left among the walking sticks. Dwalin and Balin said, "Excuse me, I left mine in the porch." Just bring mine in with you," said Thorin. They came back with viols, and big as themselves, with Thorin's harp wrapped in green cloth. It was a beautiful golden harp, and when Thorin struck, the music began all at once, so sudden and sweet that Bilbo forgot everything else, and was swept up into the dark lands under strange moons, for over the water and very far from the Hobbit hole under the hill. The dark came into the room for the little window, and opened in the side of the hill. The firelight flickered. It was April, and still was playing on, while the shadows of Gandalf's beard waggled against the wall. You'll be left on a cliffhanger today. Ha! And I'll make out. Peace, and I'll make out. Peace. And please subscribe if you enjoyed this. Like, you know the drill. Or I'll